Tell your father I'm here. Tell him the Lannisters aren't the only ones who pay their debts.
Did Oberyn Martell intend to start a war? When Oberyn Martell arrived in King's Landing, he didn't come empty-handed. He came with stories, scars, and a list of the people he wanted dead.
I will begin with Sir Gregor Clegane, who killed my sister's children, and then raped her with their blood still on his hands.
So the real question isn't whether Oberyn planned to kill Gregor Clegane at Tyrion's trial. It's this: was he planning to start a war from the moment his boots touched the capital's dirt? Picture the scene. The sun flashes off Dornish steel as Oberyn rides into King's Landing, smiling like a man who's already decided how the next few weeks will end. He has no patience for royal ceremonies, no interest in Joffrey's wedding, and absolutely no respect for House Lannister. He walks into the city not as a guest, but as a loaded weapon disguised as a charming traveler.
I want to bring those who have wronged me to justice, and all those who have wronged me are right here.
Every step he takes is deliberate. Every smirk is calculated. Every insult is a test, measuring how far he can push before someone pushes back. To the Lannisters, Oberyn looks like trouble. To Oberyn, the Lannisters look like an opportunity, because the truth is this: Oberyn didn't come for Tyrion. He didn't come for diplomacy. He came for answers about his sister, Elia, and for the men who destroyed her life. The trial by combat was never the beginning of Oberyn's plan. It was simply the moment he stepped onto the stage. And if we look closely at everything he does before that moment, every comment, every choice, every strategic insult, a pattern appears. Oberyn didn't stumble into conflict. He arrived looking for it. The arrival that was really an invasion. Oberyn Martell's arrival in King's Landing is one of the most casually aggressive moments in the entire series. But because he delivers every insult with a grin, most people miss just how calculated it is. He wasn't supposed to come. Doran was. Sending Oberyn instead is the political version of slapping Tywin Lannister across the face. Doran knows it. Tywin knows it. And Oberyn definitely knows it. This move says, "We didn't come to negotiate. We came to unsettle you." From the moment he steps out of the brothel with Elia at his side, he broadcasts his intentions. He ignores the royal escort. He skips the formalities. He picks a fight with Lannister soldiers before he even sets foot inside the Red Keep.
You're not the Golden Lion. You're just a pink little man who's far too slow on the draw.
And he does all of it with the relaxed confidence of a man who already knows what he wants. This isn't recklessness, it's pressure testing. Oberyn is probing King's Landing the way a viper tests the air before striking, sensing where the weaknesses are, who flinches first, and which names react when he mentions Gregor Clegane. He walks into small council meetings like he owns the room, not because he's arrogant, but because he's making a point. Dorn isn't afraid anymore. Every word he says is coated in honey, but sharpened underneath. He compliments Tyrion, needles Tywin, and mocks the Lannister hypocrisy with surgical precision. It's charm as a weapon, which is exactly how Oberyn fights long before he ever picks up a spear. The Viper doesn't arrive in King's Landing as a guest. He arrives the way a spy, an assassin, or a revolutionary arrives, with a purpose he doesn't intend to reveal until the exact right moment. And if we follow his actions, it becomes clear. Oberyn didn't come to watch a wedding. He came to see who deserved to die, the shadow of Elia Martell. Long before Oberyn Martell stepped into King's Landing, the war he carried inside him had already started. Not on the road, not at the trial, but the day his sister Elia was murdered during the sack of the capital. For Oberyn, that moment never ended. It simply paused, waiting. Elia wasn't just his sister. She was the heart of Dorne's connection to the Iron Throne. A woman married into a powerful dynasty, promised protection by the greatest empire in Westeros. And yet, when the city fell, the promises didn't matter. She was brutalized, murdered, and discarded like she never mattered at all. Oberyn grew up with that story lodged inside him, like a blade that never comes out. And unlike Doran, who internalizes grief into strategy, Oberyn internalizes grief into motion. He travels the world. He trains with poisons. He buries lovers and enemies with equal passion, and he collects stories. Stories about what really happened that day. Gregor, Tywin, Lannister orders, royal silence. Oberyn isn't coming to King's Landing to discover the truth. He already knows it. He came to confirm it, out loud, in front of the right people, at the moment when the truth could force a political earthquake. And here's the hidden part the show only hints at. Dorne didn't forget Elia. It just waited, in quiet rooms, behind closed doors, with lists of names and strategies that stretch across decades. Oberyn's rage isn't impulsive. It's inherited. It's cultural. Dorne doesn't shout. It remembers. When the time is right, it answers. So by the time Oberyn rides into the capital, the war is already in him.
I am the brother of Elia Martell. And do you know why I've come all the way to this stinking shit pile of a city? For you?
He's not looking for Gregor. He's looking for an opening, a confession, a public moment, a crack in the Lannister armor that Dorne could use as a spark. The trial wasn't the start. It was the finish line. 20 years after the race began, a man of poison and principle. Oberyn Martell is often painted as a chaotic force, wild, passionate, unpredictable. But underneath the swagger is something far more dangerous, a man with principles sharp enough to cut. He's not reckless. He's intentional. Every part of his persona, the flirting, the drinking, the provocations, hides a mind that sees politics the way a fighter sees an opponent, looking for balance, weakness, and timing. And this is where most people underestimate him. Oberyn isn't just a fighter with a spear. He's a scholar who studied medicine, poisons, philosophy, law, and warfare. He's traveled Essos. He's debated Meisters. He's fought in sellsword companies. He's slept with nobles and negotiated with criminals. He understands people, what they want, what they fear, what they hide. When he arrives in King's Landing, he doesn't just act bold. He starts positioning himself. His friendship with Tyrion, it's not random. Tyrion is the Lannister with the most fractures in his loyalty, the most likely to slip information. His relationship with Ellaria, also intentional. She is both a comfort and a statement. Dorne plays by its own rules. His jabs at Tywin, calculated pressure to see how much guilt Tywin can bear before he cracks. His conversations with Varys, they reveal that Oberyn is mapping out the entire political ecosystem of the capital within hours of arriving. Oberyn isn't just looking for vengeance, he is taking the temperature of the room. Who fears Gregor? Who benefits from silence? Who speaks too quickly when Elia, her name, is mentioned? Who hesitates when Oberyn brings up justice? He's searching for the spark that will turn a personal vendetta into a political chain reaction. And here's the key. Oberyn knows Dorne alone can't take on the Lannisters. But if he can expose Tywin publicly, if he can show that the Mountain acted on Lannister orders, if he can get a confession in front of the right witnesses, then war isn't just revenge. It becomes justified. Oberyn doesn't come to the capital to kill a man. He comes to flip the board, to make the entire city look at the Lannisters differently, to turn Elia, her story, into a weapon that could shatter alliances and ignite alliances. He isn't reckless. He's strategic, theatrical, and deeply political. The Viper came to King's Landing not to cause chaos, but to direct it. Victory was never the goal. When Oberyn Martell steps into the arena for Tyrion's trial by combat, everyone assumes he's fighting for Tyrion. But watch the scene closely. He barely looks at Tyrion at all. Oberyn isn't here to win. He's here to be heard. From the first moment he walks onto the sand, you can see what he wants. Gregor Clegane's words, not his life. A public confession, not a private revenge. That's why he fights differently. He circles. He provokes. He repeats the same line like a ritual.
You raped her! You murdered her! You killed her children!
He's not trying to kill Gregor quickly. He's trying to push Gregor into saying the quiet part out loud. Oberyn wants the crowd, the nobles, the soldiers, the politicians, to hear who gave the order. And when Gregor mutters, Elia Martell, Oberyn smiles. It's small, but it's real. Because for a brief second, Oberyn gets exactly what he came for. the truth cracking through the monster's armor. Here's the part people miss. If Oberyn kills Gregor cleanly, without a confession, all he gets is personal satisfaction. No political shockwave, no justice for Elia, no leverage for Dorne. Oberyn wants to expose the Mountain and the Lannisters, to drag the truth into daylight, where it can't be buried. He wants Gregor to say Tywin's name, say the orders, say what really happened in that room 20 years ago. He pushes too far, but that's because victory was never the real goal. The goal was a confession powerful enough to shatter alliances, ignite outrage, and justify the war Dorne had been quietly preparing for. Oberyn doesn't lose focus during that fight. He stays loyal to his mission all the way to the end. And that mission wasn't to win, it was to reveal. How Oberyn's fall starts the next war. Oberyn Martell dies violently, suddenly, and in a way no one expected. But here's the uncomfortable truth. His death did exactly what his victory would have done, maybe even more. At first glance, it looks like failure. He had Gregor on his back. He had the spear in his chest. He had the confession halfway out of the Mountain's mouth. And then, in one brutal moment, it all crashes down. Oberyn's skull, Dorne's hope, the entire plan. But look at what happens after. Look at the ripple. 1. Oberyn becomes a martyr instantly. Illaria's scream isn't just grief, it's ignition. She doesn't just lose a lover. She loses the one man who dared to drag Elia's murder back into the light. And in that moment, Elia's story is no longer a quiet, painful memory. It becomes a political firestorm. Suddenly, every Dornishman knows Oberyn didn't die in a drunken fight or some meaningless duel. He died fighting the man who killed a princess, died exposing a crime the Lannisters wanted buried, died in front of half the ruling class of Westeros. 2. Dorne now has a perfect symbol. A prince killed in the capital, in public, without justice. Sound familiar? This is what makes Oberyn's death powerful. It mirrors Elia's, and Dorne understands symbolism, maybe better than any other kingdom. Oberyn becomes the proof that the Lannisters haven't changed, that the old crimes still echo, that nothing has been forgiven. 3. His death forces Doran's hand. Oberyn Martell isn't impulsive. He's strategic, patient, calculating. But even he can't ignore what Oberyn's death means back home. The people want answers. The nobles want blood. The sand snakes want action. Oberyn's death becomes a political countdown, a push toward the war Doran has been quietly preparing for, slowly, carefully, but inevitably. 4. The Lannisters lose control of the narrative. For years, they managed the lie, the secret, the silence around Elia. Oberyn's death breaks the dam. Now everyone knows. The Mountain killed a princess. A Dornish prince died trying to expose it. And Tywin's entire empire was built on crimes that still bleed. Oberyn didn't just die. He declared something with his death. The story isn't over, and Dorne hasn't forgotten. His victory would have started a war, but his death might have done it faster. The true weapon of House Martell. Doran Martell is everything Oberyn isn't. Slow where Oberyn is quick, calm where Oberyn provokes, silent where Oberyn strikes. But that doesn't mean he's passive. It means he plays a different game. While Oberyn brings fire, Doran brings gravity, the slow pull that shapes events without anyone noticing until it's too late. When Oberyn dies, everyone assumes Doran will demand revenge, but he doesn't shout. He doesn't march. He doesn't send armies to the capital. Instead, he retreats into silence, the kind that makes people uncomfortable because they can't tell what he's thinking. But here's the truth. Doran isn't shocked by Oberyn's death. He's shocked that the Lannisters were foolish enough to let it happen publicly. Oberyn was the spark. Doran is the fuse. In the books, Doran even admits this openly. Oberyn was the weapon everyone could see. He was the viper. Doran was the one who planned, positioned, and prepared. Oberyn's death wasn't the end of Dorne's anger. It was the moment Doran's long, quiet strategy clicked into place. A loud man dies, a quiet man moves, and that is how House Martell works. The spark beneath the sand. Did Oberyn Martell intend to start a war long before Tyrion's trial? The signs point to yes, not because he wanted chaos, but because he wanted justice. His arrival, his attitude, his choices, even his death, all move in one direction, toward exposing the truth the Lannisters buried for decades. Oberyn didn't walk into King's Landing hoping to survive. He walked in hoping to light a fuse. The trial wasn't the start of his plan. It was simply where the spark finally hit the powder. And long after Oberyn's body fell, that fire kept burning.